Border checkpoints are meant to stop threats, but sometimes the threat is already inside. Story 1. I've worked the midnight shift at the Cedar Pass Border Inspection Station for 7 years. It's remote. Just a string of floodlights cutting through the Montana dark, a concrete booth, and steel barriers set like teeth in the road. Most nights, it's quiet. Trucks, hikers, families crossing early for hospital visits. Routine. That changed last Tuesday. The storm rolled in around 2:17 a.m. Rain lashed the plexiglass, and the wind shook the booth like someone was rattling the walls. That's when the headlights appeared. Slow, constant, no high beams, no flashing. A white panel van, no visible damage, no country plates. I stepped out, flashlight in hand, rain soaking my shoulders in seconds. The driver didn't roll down the window all the way, just enough to pass a passport. American. Name: Daniel Reeves. Age: 42. Photo looked nothing like the man behind the glass. He was pale. Not tired pale. Wrong pale. Like wax. His eyes didn't blink. Didn't move. Just fixed on me. "Purpose of your visit, Mr. Reeves?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. He didn't answer. Just stared. I glanced back at the passport. The photo showed a man with wrinkles, a smile, a mole on his left cheek. This man had none of that. "Sir, are you entering the country or returning?" His lips parted. A whisper. "I'm returning." I ran the plate. Came back clean. The VIN too. Nothing flagged. Routine. That's what I told myself. I walked around the van, flashlight sweeping under the chassis. Everything standard. But when I reached the rear, I froze. The back doors weren't latched. Just slightly open. A 1-inch gap. In the rain. At a border crossing. I called for backup over the radio. Static. Tried again. Nothing but a low hum, like a phone off the hook. I stepped back, heart thudding. Called again. Still silence. Then the van's engine turned off. Inside the cab, the driver hadn't moved. But now, both his hands were on the wheel, gripping it. Fingers too straight. Too still. I shone the light into the gap between the doors. Darkness. Then, shapes. Not cargo. Figures. Huddled. Still. Dozens of them. All facing forward. All silent. I don't know how I knew, but I did. None of them were breathing. One of them, a child, turned its head. Slow. Too slow. Its eyes caught the beam. No reflection. Just flat black pools. I backed up, fumbling for my sidearm. My hand shook. The driver rolled his window down the rest of the way. "Problem, officer?" I couldn't speak. He smiled, a dry crack across his lips. "We've been cleared, haven't we?" I don't remember saying it, but the words came out. "No issues. Proceed." He nodded, started the engine. As the van pulled forward, I watched in the rear view. The doors swung closed on their own. Quiet. Precise. I called dispatch the second the van cleared the barrier. They said no one had come through. No record of a white van. No signal from my radio that night. I checked the logs. My handwriting. Van. White. Plate 7X9M42L. Passenger. 1. Cleared at 2:43 a.m. But there's no plate like that in the system. And my handwriting? I don't remember writing it. Sometimes when the wind kicks up, I swear I hear that engine, idling just beyond the lights, waiting. Because I know. He wasn't the one returning. Something else was. Story 2. It was 2:17 a.m. when the sedan pulled up. Gray, mid-size, license plate slightly warped on the left edge. The kind of car that blends into parking lots and rental fleets. I'd been on night shift at the Cedar Ridge Border Inspection Station for 6 hours, and so far, nothing but tired truckers and vacationers with overstuffed trunks. "Good evening, sir," I said, leaning toward the open window. My breath fogged in the cold. The driver didn't respond. He just stared ahead, hands at 10 and 2, knuckles pale. "Mind stepping out for a routine inspection?" I asked, my tone still courteous, though something in his stillness prickled my neck. He moved slowly, too slowly, like his limbs were resisting. When he stood, he didn't look at me. His eyes stayed fixed on the floodlit checkpoint sign behind me, unblinking. I radioed for backup, standard procedure. Officer Leary acknowledged, said he'd be out in a minute. Inside the car, it was cold. Not just from the night, but as if the heater had been off for hours. Nothing in the back seat. No luggage. Floor clean. Too clean. I popped the trunk. It was empty. I glanced at the man. He hadn't moved from the spot I'd told him to stand. His coat was buttoned to the collar, shoes scuffed but dry. No travel stains, no mud, nothing to suggest a long drive. But he'd just come from 70 miles over the border. Leary arrived, flashlight sweeping the undercarriage. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Not sure," I muttered. "No luggage, no IDs, and he hasn't said a word." Leary approached the driver. "Sir, can you tell me your name?" The man turned his head, just slightly, and looked at Leary. Then, in a voice like gravel under tires, he said, "You already know." Leary paused. "Excuse me?" "You checked the logs. You know who I am." There were no logs, no alerts. We'd scanned his plate twice. It came back clean. Registered to a woman in Helena, reported stolen 2 weeks prior. Leary and I exchanged a look. He reached for his holster, not drawing, just resting a hand on it. "Sir, please place your hands on the roof of the vehicle," Leary said. The man complied, slow, deliberate. As Leary patted him down, I scanned the interior again. That's when I noticed it, the ash in the cup holder. Not cigarette ash, something darker, grayish-black, fine as dust. And it smelled, like old fireplaces and wet wool, the way things smell after a house burns. My radio crackled. "Station to Unit 2. You've got a bolo out for a suspect in the Grayson County fire. Suspect last seen driving a gray sedan matching your location. Description: male, late 30s, possible mental distress. Suspect is believed responsible for fatalities." I froze. We looked at him. He was still facing the car, hands on the roof. But now, his shoulders were moving. Just slightly. Not breathing. Shuddering. "Put him in the vehicle," Leary whispered. "We're calling for state police." But when we turned, he was gone. The sedan door was closed, keys in the ignition, engine off, no footprints in the frost, no sound but the hum of the overhead lights. We searched the area. Nothing. Then, at 2:43 a.m., the radio buzzed again. "Unit 2, cancel pursuit. Bolo lifted. All units stand down. Suspect was found dead this evening. Confirmed at 1:15 a.m. Cause: self-immolation. Body burned beyond recognition." I looked at Leary. He'd gone pale. "Then who the hell," I said, voice barely above a whisper, "was just in that car?" We never found him. The sedan was towed, dusted, burned. Nothing. No prints, no DNA. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I still check the logs. Not for alerts, for names. Because I know now, some people don't cross the border. They just appear. Story 3. The border checkpoint loomed ahead, a steel-banded booth under a sodium glow. I rolled down the window, the air thick with diesel and static. The officer's face was a smudge of shadow, his voice a monotone hum through the intercom. "License, registration, passport." I handed them over, my palms damp. His fingers brushed mine as he took the papers, his touch lingering. Not unusual, I told myself. Just a check. But his eyes stayed on me longer than they should, pupils dilated like he was memorizing my face. Where are you headed? Dad's place, I said. Just a visit. He jotted something on his pad, the scratch of his pen unnervingly loud. Any electronic devices in the car? Just the usual. Phone, laptop. His gaze flicked to the back seat where my laptop bag rested. Mind if I take a look? I did, but the glare of his flashlight in my eyes made it hard to think. He rifled through the bag, polite but impersonal. Then he froze. My breath caught as he pulled out a small sealed box of photographs. Nothing but family snapshots. He stared at them too long, his fingers tracing the edges. When he handed them back, his knuckles brushed my wrist. Funny, he muttered, almost to himself. You look like someone I once... Never mind. The other cars behind me began to trickle through, waved on by a second officer. But my window stayed sealed. The first officer reappeared, his posture shifting, suddenly rigid, official. Did you declare all your belongings? Yes, I swore on my passport. His smile was a thin, humorless line. You'd be surprised how many liars swear too. His hand hovered over the intercom. Your phone. Unlock it. It was my only link to the outside world. I hesitated. He leaned in, close enough for me to smell the peppermint on his breath. Now. I unlocked it. He scrolled, his thumb pausing on a message from my sister. Watch your back at the checkpoint. Something feels off. I'd written it in jest, but now... His eyes narrowed at the screen. Who's watch your back? It's my sister. She's just being paranoid. He didn't look up. She right to be. A beat. You think borders exist for paperwork? They exist for people like you. His voice lowered, a threat in the quiet. You cross lines without knowing why. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Sir, I'm just visiting my dad. He handed back my phone, the screen still unlocked. Drive safely. And if you think to report this, he tapped the intercom. You'll say it was routine. The light turned green. I reversed out, my tires crunching gravel as I sped toward the dark highway. Behind me, his flashlight blinked once, twice. A signal, maybe, or a warning. I checked my mirrors constantly, but his booth stayed empty. At home, I called my sister. Voicemail. I checked my phone. The photo of us with Dad was gone. It's been 3 days. I can't delete the feeling he's still behind me, his gaze in the rear view, whispering that the border isn't a line, it's a cage I didn't know I'm part of, and I'm certain he'll be waiting when I cross it back.